I'd rather have an 18 to 17 or 18.
You're done?
Bitch!
Alright, YouTube. So, I was just looking up on YouTube, trying to see if anybody else had done a Bazzaz install on a BMW. So this is a 2016 BMW S1000. And I couldn't find like a good descriptor of everything to install it. I downloaded the manual and I looked everything up.
It's a descriptor.
Yeah, for describing everything.
It's a description. You couldn't find a good description, not descriptor.
Descriptor.
Rich, where did you go to English class at, bro?
Hey YouTube. So, I was looking up on how to install this Bazzaz because we got it secondhand, didn't come with the manual. And I noticed I didn't really find any good videos out there for installation. And I figured I'd go ahead and make one. So I've already ran the wiring harness for the Bazzaz underneath of this. I didn't remove this. I removed the ABS. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen another. I don't know which one would be easier, removing these top screws here or removing the 2 screws on the bottom for the ABS. They're right underneath. These were T30 on the bottom. These look like they're probably a T30 as well. Let me check. Yeah, so you can either remove the top or the bottom. So you can remove this and be able to run the harness underneath of it. You want to run it on the left side. That's simply because everything you're going to be connecting to is going to be on this left side. So all the harnesses and the wires are going to be tapping into it right here. And that's where these 3 wires are going. The first wire I'm going to connect is going to be the pink wire here. The pink wire goes to the speed sensor. Alright, and so the speed sensor says that it's the middle purple and black wire. Now when I originally looked at this, it just looked like three wires. Looked like a solid purple wire because I had to pull this back, which is why I was originally looking. But it looked like a solid purple wire like this, a purple with a black stripe, which is what it says you need to connect to, and then a green with a blue stripe. But it said middle, so after I pulled this back so I can get a good look at it, I could see that that middle wire also is purple with a black stripe. So you actually have 2 wires in here that are purple with black stripes. Alright, so it goes on that middle one. So this pink lead will connect to that middle one right there. Alright, and so now you have the green one. Once this green one connects to the crank position sensor, it's described as the CKPS. Okay, the crank position sensor connects to the yellow wire, which is right here. It's a small harness. Okay, and it connects to the yellow wire on this harness here. So the green lead connects to that yellow wire right here. Alright, and then the harder one to find or to get to is the TPS, which is what this blue wire connects to. This blue wire here connects to the TPS, which is this harness here. And on the back you can see that it has numbers on it. This way. So you can see it says 1, 3, 2, 1. Anyways, it says the gray and white wire, which this wire here, white wire with a gray stripe, is in the number 2 position. So we'll be tapping into that one with this blue lead. Alright. And then the first row, which is the closest, you have this harness, has 16 connectors on it. This first row here goes to the main injectors. First one you get from the harness, from the unit. goes to the main injectors. Injectors are down here. Okay, and it just goes across furthest from furthest one to furthest one gets to furthest injector. Pretty self-explanatory. And you're just going to unplug the connector from the injector, and you'll plug it in here, and then plug this one into the injector. And then I plan on zip tying it up with the original harness here, so it's out of the way, stays tucked in nice and tight. Then the second row is the same thing, but with the secondary injectors. So you'll just unplug this one here, all these injectors up here. Let me get this one unplugged. Can't get my fat finger in there. Alright, so kind of just unplug it. And how you do it, so this is the OEM harness here, and this is the harness from Bazzaz. So you're just going to plug this in from the Bazzaz like this, and that just hooks in, clips in, and then you're going to take the other one on that same little section right there, or the same little spot, and you're going to plug it into the OEM harness like so. You just kind of plug this in here like this and get it to snap in. There we go. And so that's pretty much it. Alright, so this is kind of what we're doing there. I spliced this blue wire into the TPS here, and it's the white wire with the gray stripe, and that's going to be the blue wire coming from the Bazzaz. Alright, so this one's going to be the green wire, and we're going to be connecting it to the yellow part of the harness here. And it's only a 2-wire harness. It's tucked right here. I cut the zip tie, and it pulls out, gives you some room to work with. I'll be putting it on this side because I'm not sure what's underneath this sheath, if it's the same colored wire, and I don't want to get confused. So I'll be splicing it in here. I'm going to cut this back, and I'm going to splice it in and go from there. Alright, we got that second one hooked up here. This is to the crankshaft position sensor. The green wire here is going to the yellow wire on the harness, and I'll tuck that back up in here. You won't even know it was there. I'll send a zip tie through that, and then what we have left here is we're going to connect this pink one right here to the speed sensor, which is that center one. I'm going to cut this harness back and be able to tie it in. And on this one I'll show how I'm tying them in, as I'm not using the little splitters or the jumpers. I just don't feel like they give a good enough connection, and that's just personal opinion. So I can't get my normal splices in time, so I'm gonna do some stuff here. Got these little butt connectors, right? Smell like burnt plastic. Smells good, right? Looks good inside though. Alright, so this is pretty much how I'm doing it. I'm cutting the wire in half, and I'm splicing together with a butt connector and heat shrinking it. So this is the wire splicing in to the purple with a black wire in the middle, or black line, purple wire with a black line. And then I'm going to put the heat shrink on this side and crimp it, and then bring it back up and shrink that together. Just gives it a much better and cleaner look than all these little red tags anywhere. And I mean, if I ever wanted to take it off, whatever, you can just snip it right there, and it'd be just fine. All right, so we got one side hooked up. That's what you pretty much do. Is we got 2 wires, butt connected into one hole, and then the heat shrink is on. So I'm gonna crimp this, slide the heat shrink up, and shrink that together, and then it'll look nice and clean. Heat shrink down and ready to go. So now we're gonna plug in the injectors up here. Just unhook them one by one. That's it. I just wanted to say that I want to add that I pulled this line out for like a cleaner looking install, so I could tuck all the wires behind it. You know, kind of like the harness does, the OEM harness. So I pulled that out. That's going to run like right here. I had to unclip this, and it's going to kind of tuck behind this one. I can't really do much about that, but I wanted to get everything behind this, kind of like the OEM harness ran, like that. So it's got a cleaner install, and because that's the way it is for the OEM stuff. So I have this little bump here. This thing bothers me because it sticks out. Maybe it's just go like this, tuck this up with the rest of the harness. Take a little screwdriver and push it down. And oh, that's good, yeah. Yeah, it tucks right down there. Tucks right into the airbox. Okay, this is it installed. Everything's zip tied up. This wire is tucked down beside the airbox along with the OEM harness. Runs down underneath, comes down around. Fuel liners ran underneath. It's all zip tied up with the OEM stuff. So I mean, it looks like an OEM harness, other than, you can see the points here. He has a lightweight battery, so it's kind of small. So I was able to route the excess wire instead of putting it back here in the trunk. That's what I didn't want to do, because he wants his trunk space. I put it here underneath of his rider seat because the battery is so much smaller. I routed the excess wire around the battery, which actually keeps it more secure than it was before. It comes back around, and this is the unit here. His port is accessible, and then we have the switch here and the add-on location for it. That's another harness for the thing that I just tuck right there. And so the seat will come down, as you can see. That's the harness and everything, and the seat will come down and have just barely enough room. Got the negative wire hooked up. The positive wire runs here, and it's running up to the back, and I haven't hooked it up yet. Alright, and so it has to hook up to a ignition source. Okay, so when you turn the key on, that's when the Bazzaz comes on. If you hook it up straight to the battery, then it's going to be on all the time. But you want it to be on, you want it to come on with the bike. So I'm going to find the brake light power source, which one it is, and I believe it's this one here, but I'm going to double check, and then I'm going to tap into that. So hang on. Okay, so I've got that kind of pushed into the wire there, and hooked up to the ground section. That's my test light. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the key on. Let's see if this light comes on. Oh, there it is. So that is the brake light, which is this red wire, which would be the red with black stripe in here. So I'm gonna tap into this side just because I don't want this tail light to ever be unplugged and the Bazzaz not come on, or something happens, swap out a tail light and have to redo this. So I'm gonna tap into this wire right here. It's red with a black stripe. Alright, so here we have the Bazzaz wires wired in here. I spliced them in and I zip tied it up out of the way so the harness didn't move and the wires didn't move there. On the 16, I was able to install a switch here. I made like a little false shelf right there, and that's for the tune for the Bazzaz. I'll show how to wire that up on a later video. So everything's all tucked out of here. He has all of his trunk space still. It's tucked out of the way, and that's it. Bike's all done. So hopefully this helps with the Bazzaz install. If you learned anything or this helped you out, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.